What's going on, guys? Welcome back to my channel. Today's video is the Never Seen It series, where I give you my thoughts and opinions about movies I've never seen before in my entire life, or it's been a really long time. Do I love them? Do I hate them? But most importantly, do I recommend them to you? So last month in July, my movie watching theme to prepare for Deadpool and Wolverine, because I had never seen any of the X-Men movies before. So my movie watching theme was Marvel films that I've never seen. So that was the entire X-Men franchise. That was Punisher, Ghost Rider, Daredevil, Fantastic Four. And I am proud of myself. I got through all of them. Every single Marvel film I wanted to watch. Some of them I barely got through, and we'll talk about that when I get there, trust me. But I got through all of them. All of them that I wanted to see, I watched. And then on top of that, this is what I'm excited about. 9 Criterions. I think that's the most. That is the most Criterions I have watched in 1 month. And that's not even including brand new releases and streaming and everything else that I watch. So I'm really proud of myself that I got through this pile. So I'm going to start off with the Marvel films and then move on to the Criterion selections. Now, as far as the X-Men franchise, I'm not going through every single movie because we'd be here for like 2.5 hours. And I don't have time for that. So I'm just combining all of the X-Men movies in general and just speaking my brief thoughts. I don't want to linger on and on about the X-Men franchise because, honestly, I wasn't overly impressed. I love Marvel, but you know what? I'm going to stick to the MCU timeline because for me, the X-Men franchise just was not that strong. It was a little bit disappointing. Don't get me wrong. There were a couple of standouts. Let me grab the movies. What am I doing? Hold on. Okay. All right. So here are all of the X-Men films that I have in hand on physical media. The ones that I don't have, I just streamed very easily on Disney+. So if you're interested in binging the entire X-Men franchise, it is available. All movies are available over on Disney+. Just to let you guys know that if you did not know. Okay, so I did pick up the first 3 movies, the initial X-Men trilogy. I picked this up for like $14 at Walmart, so I had that one. I've had Logan for a really, really long time. Such a random pickup back in the day, but I did have Logan. And then someone sent over X-Men Origins Wolverine, so I had that one. Dark Phoenix. I picked that one up. And then New Mutants. This is the only like mutant movie I saw in theaters in the X-Men franchise. You know, I saw Deadpool 2 in the theater, but I mean, he is like mutant, but like not real. He's not really a part of this franchise yet. You know what I'm saying? So that was the only like X-Men movie or mutant movie that I saw in theaters, was the New Mutants. How sad is that? How sad is that? All right, so my overall thoughts about the X-Men movies, the X-Men franchise, whatever you want to call it. I mean, without a doubt, the best movie is Logan. I mean, let's be honest. This was a fantastic end to this character. The entire last scene, him and the little girl who is his, you know, supposed daughter because of the shared DNA or whatever it is. I mean, that was just so well done. The whole entire movie was just an emotional ride because even though I'd never seen the film before, you knew where it was going. You knew what was going to happen to Hugh Jackman's Wolverine. And when it gets to the very end, it's a sob fest, a complete sob fest. So I'm really happy Deadpool and Wolverine came along. It's resurrected the character. It is so fantastic. But this is by far the best X-Men movie in the franchise. The other X-Men movie I really enjoyed, I believe, was Days of Future Past. That was really, really good. And I know a lot of other people were commenting the same exact thing because over on my Instagram, you can follow me over at Movies&Sue. Shameless plug, but it is my channel, so I can plug anything that I want. So follow me over at Movies&Sue on Instagram. Every single night, I always post what I'm watching, and when I posted that I was watching Days of Future Past, a lot of you were commenting saying, you love that one too, it's one of your favorites, so good to know I'm not alone with that one. So Days of Future Past and Logan, those were my two favorites of the franchise. So I mean, overall, my overall impression of this entire, let me get a better movie in the front. There we go. You don't want to see the New Mutants as I'm talking about this franchise. So let me just hold all of them here. It's kind of like a security thing. My overall thoughts about the entire X-Men franchise, it's just okay. I don't know. There was nothing about these movies that really got me excited. You know, like with the MCU timeline, you know, our heroes that we know and are familiar with, that I know and that I'm familiar with, you know, our Avengers, you know, that's what I'm talking about. You know, that MCU timeline. There are some movies, I'm not excited for every movie, don't get me wrong. You know, Thor 2 doesn't get me all hot and bothered, you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, besides Chris Hemsworth, you know, he's the best thing. But, you know, not every single movie in the MCU timeline gets me going and really excited and, you know, feeling all tingly when I'm watching it. You know what I'm talking about. But, like, none of these movies really got me feeling like that. I mean, the only movie that I could see possible in the future is Logan because of how good that it actually is. I kind of just found the X-Men movies kind of confusing because, like, people were dying and then coming back to life all the time. And I was just really, I mean, I'm not dumb, I'm not stupid, but like, I don't know, maybe I just wasn't really paying attention because, like, when we get to Dark Phoenix, you know what I'm talking about with Mystique and then with Jean Grey and what happens. And then I'm like, well, wait a minute, that's when they were younger and they're alive in the original trilogy. I'm just like confused. I'm confused. I find it confusing. I find the X-Men movies a little confusing. I mean, they were fun at points. They were fun. I did have, you know, a good time watching them, but not all the time. Not all the time. A couple of the movies I thought were a little bit bland. You know, something could have been done to spice them up a little bit. I want to know, am I the only one that feels like this? If you're a Marvel fan, which do you prefer? MCU Marvel, you know, with our Avengers, or the X-Men franchise? Comment down below and let me know which ones you prefer, which movies you think are better, or, you know, whatever. Just comment and let me know your thoughts. I want to know if I'm alone in thinking this. So the movies were okay. The movies were okay, but if I had a gun to my head, Susan, make a decision. Which Marvel franchise do you enjoy more? It's going to be MCU. Absolutely, without a doubt. Because I can throw on any movie in the MCU anytime, any day, and I can somewhat enjoy it, and I could tolerate it. You know, I can enjoy it. I can't necessarily say that about this entire, you know, franchise of its own. So yeah, I'm just interested in seeing what Kevin Feige is going to bring with introducing the new version of X-Men into the current MCU timeline. I'm looking forward to that. I want to see where we're going with this. Am I going to enjoy X-Men more if they're MCU-ified, if you know what I mean? So overall, these were okay. These were okay. I mean, like, good, like solid good, you know, but there are some clunkers in here, you know, namely the last two movies, New Mutants and Dark Phoenix. You know, they got some clunkers in there. But then you have awesome movies like Logan, which just completely take it up the hill or whatever. It takes it up a notch. I don't know. I lost my train of thought. But yeah, just all right. I'm happy that I finally watched the movies. I am. I really am, because that was a very big blind spot for me as a Marvel fan. So I'm very happy that I watched all those and got those out of the way. So now if, like, X-Men is referenced in future MCU movies, which obviously is going to happen, they're going to be introduced eventually. And obviously we do have Wolverine right now. So I know what's going on. I know what's happening. I know the characters and I know somewhat of a situation. So that's good. All right. So now let's get into what I like to call the first movie was good. It was good. But what happened to the sequel? Okay, we have 3 examples of this in the pile. Let's start off with Nicolas Cage in Ghost Rider. So my dad loves these movies. I don't know why. Like, he does not watch Marvel like I do. Like, when I choose to put on a Marvel movie, he goes to his phone and he's just scrolling. Like, he's not a huge, like, MCU Marvel fan like I am. And, I mean, I'm not, like, psychotic or anything, but, you know, if it's Marvel or DC, I always, you know, go in the Marvel direction. I like Marvel, whatever. So when it comes to Ghost Rider, my dad's like this secret fanatic with these 2 movies. I don't know why with the second film, because it was not good. It was not good at all whatsoever. It was garbage. Hot, stinking pile of garbage that's been sitting out in the heat in New York City for about 3 weeks. Like, it was really bad. It was really, really bad. I feel horrible for Nicolas Cage because he's obviously the main character of these movies. And you know I love the Cage. I hate saying this. I really do. But what happened with that sequel? I don't know. Because the first movie was pretty good. Like, I enjoyed it. Is it the best? No, it's not the best, but it was fun. That's the theme of all these movies. The first one is fun. The second one, what happened? Where did we go? Like, what is going on with these sequels? But this sequel is not as bad as another sequel that I'm going to talk about in just a couple of minutes. So, Ghost Rider, finally watched this one. I can, you know, I can cross it off my Nicolas Cage unseen list. So I finally experienced Ghost Rider for the first time. So now let's move on to the Fantastic Four. So a subscriber sent over the first movie, the DVD. Actually, both of these are subscriber mail. What am I talking about? So I watched the first one and okay, I didn't mind it. I didn't hate it. I didn't love it, but I didn't hate it. I was like, you know what? That's a decent interpretation, I guess. I mean, I don't read the comics, so I don't know. I don't know what's 100% accurate or whatever. And then we have the sequel. And I gotta say, out of the 3 that I'm talking about in this segment, this sequel is the most rewatchable. I will say that. Out of the 3, I would grab Rise the Silver Surfer in no time because I do not want to experience the other ones anytime soon. I am good. But you know what? I had a question. What was my question? Oh yeah. My question is, okay, Jessica Alba's eyes in the sequel. What's up with that? Like, in the first movie, her eyes are normal, and in the sequel, it's like her eyes are busting out of her head and they're a completely different color, if I'm remembering. What is going on there? Is that like some comic book thing, a reference that I'm not understanding? If you guys believe that you know the answer, comment down below and let me know. Fill me in with some information because I'm kind of lost. So I didn't mind the first movie. I was like, okay, that was pretty good. I enjoyed it. I had some fun. But, you know, disappointment a little bit, but the most rewatchable. The most rewatchable. Let me know about those eyes. I'm curious. All right. Now, finally, this one was the worst. This is worse than Ghost Rider. Like, I would take Ghost Rider any day of the week, the sequel, over this sequel, The Punisher Warzone. Oh my, this is one of the worst movies I've ever seen. Awesome looking steelbook. That was kind of loud, sorry. Awesome looking steelbook. Amazing looking Lionsgate steelbook. But this movie sucks. This movie sucks. The acting is bad. It's atrocious. Like, the storyline, to me, it just doesn't even make sense. Well, okay, hold on. Here's the first Punisher. Another great looking steelbook from Lionsgate. They always kill it with the artwork, okay? But this movie, it was decent. I enjoyed it. I didn't mind it. Thomas Jane is playing the Punisher. I thought he did well, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it for what it was. Good, solid movie. And then we get to this. First of all, why is it a completely different actor playing the role of the Punisher? Did Thomas Jane just not want to return for the sequel? I have questions. And then I think there were like, it's been a while since I've seen these. It's been like a month probably. So if I get details wrong, don't like overcorrect me or be critical about it. If you know what I'm saying? Like, I watch a lot of movies, so I'm trying to remember details here. Okay, so in Punisher Warzone, bad acting, no Thomas Jane returning. And then in the movie, I think there was like a flashback to what happened in this movie with his family. It wasn't even the same scenario. Like in this movie, they're like at a family reunion, like on the beach, like in Costa Rica or something like that. But here, they're at like a picnic or something. It's like a completely different scenario. And I'm like, is this really a sequel to this? Because they're not really matching up at all. At all. So I was just a little bit confused. But I just cannot get beyond the bad acting in this movie. It is so horrible by everyone. Every single bad actor that you could put into a movie is in this film. It's horrendous. Horrendous. I was almost shocked while I was watching this. I was beyond bored. And I think this is like what? It was kind of on the shorter end. Yeah, not 2 hours. It was like 103 minutes. Okay, that's not too bad. I felt like this movie was going on forever and ever and ever and ever. It was not ending. Oh my God. I almost got out like, I don't want to say it, but I almost got out like a knife to end it all. Cause I've never said this about any movie in my entire life of how bad this is, but this is bad. This is a bad, bad movie. And you know what else is bad? Is this slipcover is cracked. Look at that. It's cracked. Oh my gosh. So on top of a bad movie, I have a cracked slipcase. Lionsgate, what's going on there? Oh my gosh. So those were the 3 movies that had, you know, good starts, but bad freaking sequels, man. I don't know what happened there. I don't know. Hopefully, whatever happens, you know, Fantastic Four, we're getting that movie in less than a year. It's coming out at the end of July of 2025. So hopefully, fingers crossed, Kevin Feige sprinkles his little MCU magic and it, you know, falls all over the brand new Fantastic Four and it's going to be an awesome movie. I have good feelings about it. I really do. I think it's going to get back on track. Everything is going to get back on track. I have very high hopes for Marvel going forward. All right, so that was the train wrecks. All right, I went through that one. All right, but we have a couple of more Marvel train wrecks that we have to get through. Okay, so, all right. I don't remember who sent this my way. This is subscriber mail. Okay. This is, it says Roger Corman's Fantastic Four. Like, this is the original, like, OG movie, Fantastic Four. That's what I'm assuming. I wasn't really given a lot of detail when this came my way. I'm not going to get rid of it. I'm going to keep it because I feel like it has some value. I could be completely wrong. I probably am, but I'm going to hang on to it. It looks like it's important. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to keep it for my Marvel collection. I couldn't even finish this. I could not even finish this at all. Like, I tried. I really did. The way this movie, and I don't want to offend the person that sent this over. I'm just being completely honest. If you've seen this, the person that sent this to me, you know what I'm talking about, okay? So, I mean, I'm going to keep it. I'm not getting rid of it, but I will probably never watch this again because simply the film quality of this movie is at 0. There is none. I was getting a headache watching this. I really tried to watch it. I stopped it about halfway through. I could not finish it because this movie is so blurry and there's so much grain. It just, I couldn't do it. I literally was getting a borderline migraine trying to watch this, and that's never happened to me before. So because of that, I really do appreciate you sending it over. It means a lot. But you know what? I'm familiar with the Fantastic Four story. I watched, you know, the other version. So I know what it is, but this was like a very, very early on edition of it. And it's very corny and extremely cheesy, but that's okay. I don't mind corny Velveeta cheese. Corny Velveeta cheese? Velveeta cheese. I don't need corn in my Velveeta cheese. I don't mind corniness, and I don't mind Velveeta cheesiness all over the nacho plate. And that is what this is. It seriously is. So I thank you for sending it, but I could not finish it for medical reasons, if that makes any kind of sense at all whatsoever. So thank you for sending that. So I did make my attempt to finish that, but I just couldn't do it. All right, I think this is the, yeah, this is the final Marvel movie. Daredevil. Oh, thank goodness I only paid, I think, $8 for this off of blu-ray.com, because this is awful. This was our introduction to Daredevil, I believe. This was before, like, anything else that was, you know, introduced. Ben Affleck as our blind lawyer, what's his name? Matt Murdock, I believe. I'm not super familiar with those names, so cut me a break. Okay, so the only good thing to come out of this movie was the eventual marriage of Ben Affleck and Jennifer Garner, because this movie's bad. This movie is bad too. I feel like this film is in a time capsule, because I'm sure back, when was this? Back in the day, I'm sure it was probably, okay, 2003. I thought this film was from the 90s, okay, because the soundtrack that's used, it's just, it traps you in a certain time period. That's why I say it feels like it's in a time capsule, because the soundtrack of this movie is just so bad. It's so bad. It was like, let's use every popular song at that time and cram it into one movie and it'll look fantastic. And then also what was really bad with the film was it also Daredevil, but in particular with Elektra's like fighting scenes, you know, some of the fighting scenes that she had, the choreography for those was just so lame and so basic. Like, we've come so far with like fighting choreography and moves and getting creative and different things to do. Like, this looks like just garbage. Like, I can't even think of another word. Like, it's just garbage. It's not impressive. I'm sure back in 2003 it was like, oh, what's going on? This looks great. But, you know, fast forward 20 years. Nope. I mean, I don't know. I'm not throwing movies. I'm trying not to throw movies anymore. I know that's kind of like the shtick with this video. You guys are always dying to see which movie I'm going to throw. It might as well be this one. I mean, I could have thrown like 4 movies in the Marvel pile. It just, you don't need it. You don't absolutely need it. If you're not a Marvel fan, you know, you just, I'm just happy I only paid $8 for that, because it's just bad. And honestly, Ben Affleck's acting in that movie, it's like, I could care less. You know, he's like, I'm here for a paycheck and that's it. Thank goodness he redeemed himself in comics playing Batman, and he was just so much better as Batman than he was as Daredevil. All right, so that was the entire Marvel pile. We got through that. All right, so now we're moving on to Criterion. But first, before that, a very random selection. The Sandlot. The Sandlot. Now, I have seen this movie before, but it's been like 20 years since I've seen the movie. So when it's any length of time like that, usually like 15 years and beyond, I will put it back into never seen it. So The Sandlot, This was one of my choices for the week of 4th of July because I actually, did I choose this? I can't remember. Did I choose this as a 4th of July recommendation? I think I did. And it is. It is a great 4th of July movie because it does have the scene with the fireworks and it takes place all throughout the summer before the kids go back to school. You have a brand new kid in the neighborhood, doesn't have any friends, and he sees these kids playing baseball and he really wants to get involved, so he does. And he, you know, becomes part of the group. It's just, it's a movie from a different time period. You know, when kids ran outside at like 6 o'clock in the morning, they were up, like out the door at 6, 7 o'clock in the morning, and they never came home until the street lights came on. And that's what they did. They went out, they played baseball, they went swimming at the local, you know, the local swimming area. You know, just so great. This is timeless. The Sandlot is timeless. So good. It brought back so many great memories of watching this movie. This type of film I like to call like Americana, if you will, because it's just, you know, kids in this movie and kids nowadays don't do what these kids were doing anymore. It's all about electronics and video games and, you know, going to the movies and streaming and all of that. It's all electronics. Unfortunately, kids do not take the time to go outside and play anymore. Of course, you know, the world has changed, but that's a different subject. So The Sandlot, it was a joy to rewatch this one, and it's great for 4th of July. So I am happy I got to rewatch that one. All right, Criterions. I'm not singing Criterions anymore, if you guys noticed in my What's New for Blue videos. Criterions. I'll save it for this video. All right, 9 Criterions. Let's talk about it. To Die For. I mean, so good. So good. I have seen the movie before. Well, I never really saw it from beginning to end. Bits and pieces. This was, I remember this when I was in high school. This movie came out because this was, yeah, 1995. I was a sophomore in high school at that time period. And during that moment in time is kind of when these like teacher scandals, like teacher sex scandals were going on. Like, and I mean, this is based off of Pamela Smart, I believe. I think everyone knows that. That was a real life occurrence that happened. Like, she was sleeping with students and, you know, they helped her off her husband. I mean, it's the same exact storyline. You might as well just call her Pam. I mean, it really is. I mean, I believe I'm getting that name correct. I'm going to look like an idiot if I don't, but I believe that was the teacher's name. But back when I was in high school, there was a lot of those. You know, you had who else? I can't remember right now. But there was like a handful of like scandals that were going on. And this is like, you know, take it from the headlines, because Nicole Kidman plays an aspiring news person and she wants to become a star. Sound familiar? I'm a star. She wants to be a star. She wants to be a journalist, and she's married to Matt Dillon. She doesn't really want to be, you know, she has higher aspirations for herself. So she decides to kind of fool around with some high school kids and convinces one of them, Joaquin Phoenix, by the way, to off her husband. And it's good. It's so good. It's juicy. It's salacious. Is that the right word? Probably not. I don't know. I'm just saying stuff. But it's a juicy story. It's a juicy movie, and I believe Nicole Kidman won, if memory is serving me correct, and I think it is, she did win the Golden Globe for this performance, and rightfully so. I think she did turn in a very nice performance. There we go. So, To Die For, this is the 4K. It did look very nice, I will say that. So I do recommend the 4K upgrade, or the 4K I should say, of To Die For. So enjoyed fully watching that one. Unlike this one, Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. Now, this is not the 4K. This is just the regular Blu-ray that I picked up like eons ago, like 2 years ago. I picked this up and finally got around to watching it. I don't know what's going on in this movie at all. Like, I'm so confused. You have Johnny Depp and Benicio del Toro driving around in a car rambling on and on. Nothing is making sense. They're drinking, they're using drugs, they're smoking, they're like any and all vices that are possible. They're doing it in this movie in Las Vegas, driving around. Did I even finish this movie? I can't even remember if I finished it. I don't think I did. I don't think I did because I was just so confused as to what was going on. I had no clue. No clue. It's just rambling. Rambling of words on and on and on. I'm sure people are going to comment like my intellect just was not there with this or something. I am a very educated person. Like when it comes to nonsense being disguised as brilliancy, I'm not down with that because this was nonsense. This was crazy. Like this was freaking weird, okay? I'm not sure if I'm ever going to watch this again because I don't know. Am I going to keep it? I don't know. To be honest, I don't know. I will for now. We'll see. I don't know. Not going to touch that for a while, let me tell you. All right, the next one. Okay, I really enjoyed this one. Let's talk about it. Diabolique. This is another Criterion I've had in my collection for probably at least 2 years, and I committed myself. I was trying to watch the older Criterions in my collection that I've had at least like 3 years. So this one I've had for a really long time. To kind of like summarize this really quickly, black and white movie. This is all about two women. One's the wife and one's the mistress, and they're kind of teaming up with each other to get rid of the husband, okay? Like, talk about juicy. This is juicy. This is juicy. But see, where the kind of like conflict comes in or whatever is because you don't know who is lying and who's telling the truth because so many different stories are being told. You don't know who to believe, okay? And right up until the very end, it keeps you guessing. And I love movies like that. I love it where you don't see the ending coming and it just surprises you. Those are the best to me. Those are great. So Diabolique, I definitely recommend. I will recommend it in November for the next Criterion sale when I do my Criterion recommendation video. I definitely, and this is a foreign film, okay guys? I watched a foreign film, okay? I did. I'm not opposed to them. I just don't like being attacked when I don't gravitate towards them. You know what I'm saying? So, here we go. I watched a foreign film. All right. All right. Another Nicole Kidman title. The Others. I finally watched The Others. This is another movie that I saw back in the day, bits and pieces, but I never remember watching the entire movie beginning to end. And this is a great, great movie because it has one of the best twist endings, I believe, of all time because you literally don't see it coming. When you watch this movie for the first time, you're engrossed in what's happening. Nicole Kidman and her two children, very young children, they're very sensitive to the light. So she has all the curtains closed all the time. And out of nowhere, it just seems like they're hearing noises everywhere. And you're thinking, is the house haunted? What is happening? What's going on? And then it just culminates to the ending. And you're like, ah! You're just taken aback and you're completely shocked. And that's what I love about this film. So, so good. And her performance in this movie, Nicole Kidman, is fantastic. She's so good. And this 4K, by the way, looks incredible. Absolutely, like one of the best. One of the best in the past couple, because this was last year. This came out last October, I believe. So good. So definitely pick this one up. Do not hesitate. Just pick up the 4K. You will love it. It is so good. It looks great. I'm happy that I finally watched that one too. All right, so this next one I have seen. It's actually one of my favorite biopics of all time, but it's been a really long time since I've watched it. You know what it is. La Bamba. La Bamba. I love this biopic. It is so good. I think why why is it the biopics that I love the most are like the most tragic stories? Like this one, Selena. I love Selena so much. Like it seems like the more tragic the biopic is, the more I love it. I don't know why, but that's like a recurring theme with all of my biopics. But this is the story, if you don't know, this is the story of Ritchie Valens. And he was very, very young when he became famous for a hot second, because unfortunately he demises in a plane crash with the Big Bopper and also with Buddy Holly. That day when it happened, they called it the day the music died, because all those three artists were extremely popular at that time. And he was only 17 years old when that occurred. He was only famous for about 8 months, but he did put out, I believe, 3 hit songs in that time period, and the most popular was La Bamba. Oh my gosh, I love this. Lou Diamond Phillips is fantastic as Ritchie Valens. He brings the heart of Ritchie Valens to this movie. And then you have, what's his name? Esai Morales, I believe. Yeah, plays his brother, who is completely opposite of Ritchie Valens. He's kind of more like rough and tough, and he's a drinker. I'd say he's an alcoholic, definitely. And he wants the best for his brother, but he's also jealous at the same time, because it's like he can't find his thing of what he's good at. And then when he does, it's like it's kind of not appreciated because Richie's the star of the family. So you kind of have like that family, you know, dynamic. There's like jealousy and, you know, kind of like bad thoughts and everything. And then you put in like other family members, and oh, it's so good. And then you have his romance with Donna, and that is his other famous song, because he wrote the song for Donna. He was so in love with her. It was like, you know, high school sweethearts, and I could go on for days. I am right now. Like, it's so good. It's so good. And I will say, this is only a Blu-ray. It looked great. It looked amazing. So I am fine with this only having a Blu-ray. If this gets a 4K in the future, I won't need to pick it up because I'm fine with this on Blu-ray. So, La Bamba, oh, I love it. I love it so. All right, 4 more criterions to talk about. I know I'm running a little long, but that's nothing new here on the channel. Okay, Something Wild with Melanie Griffith and Jeff Daniels, and also Ray Liotta. I had no idea that, because his name's not on here right now. I had no idea that Ray Liotta was in this movie, so that was a nice surprise as well. The credits started in the beginning, and it said Ray Liotta, and I was like, oh, Ray? Ray's in here? Ray's in here. All right, so pretty much this movie is about Melanie Griffith and Jeff Daniels. Right in the beginning of the movie, they meet randomly in a restaurant. He's trying to dine and ditch, like not pay, and Melanie Griffith sees him, and she's like, what is he doing? So she's like kind of crazy. You can tell by the way she's dressed. She's like kooky and out there and weird. And Jeff Daniels is like executive, like in a suit and everything, with an agenda, a jam-packed day, you know, like I gotta go to the office and make some phone calls kind of guy. So they're complete opposites, okay? She just like jumps in his car or something, or she brings him to her car, and they just start hanging out like for the entire day. And it kind of just goes into an entire weekend. And the next, because like I assumed that he was married. You assume he's married with children. Not to quote the TV show. You assume that he's married with children. But you find out that his wife left him for certain reasons, blah, blah, blah. But regardless, I'm going into way too many details. Good movie. Good movie. Good movie. Because you have Melanie Griffith that kind of just like kidnaps Jeff Daniels for the weekend, kind of makes him do crazy things because she can see that he's like, he needs a release. You know, he's kind of like stuffy and uptight a little bit, but she saw that glimmer of him dining and ditching in the restaurant. And I think that was her saying, I think he's got a little bit of crazy in him. And she kind of like targeted him for a reason because of that. So they go on this like wild weekend, and then Ray Liotta comes in like, I'd say the last, like the back half of the movie. My only I don't have huge complaints about the movie, but I kind of wish the movie just centrally focused on Melanie Griffith and Jeff Daniels and their adventures together. They could have had some conflict with each other, because you can't be happy the entire movie, because there would be no point. You need some conflict to happen. I wish it just focused on them two and not the introduction of Ray Liotta, because even though I love Ray, I do, but I feel like when he came into the movie, the film kind of got off track a little bit, and it got in a way, like, super serious direction. Like, we're talking a full-on fight scene at the very end with, like, stabbing and someone dying, and I'm like, wow. Like, it just got... I liked it better when it was early on in the movie, and they were just joyriding around. They were having a lot of fun, and, you know, some arguments here and there. Maybe they could have had a major argument later on in the movie, like I said, you know, to have that conflict, but still focusing on just them two. That's what I really wanted, because I loved their bantering. I love their chemistry together. So I'm happy I finally watched this one. For the most part, I really enjoyed it. I did. I did. You know, I love Ray, but I don't know if he was really needed in that movie. Okay, next up. Love Affair. Love Affair. This was a very easy rewatch. I say rewatch because I watched, what was it? An Affair to Remember with Cary Grant. And that's a remake of Love Affair. It's pretty much the same exact story. But you know what? It was a pleasure to watch this one as well. This one's a little bit shorter, 88 minutes. And this is from 1939. So, I mean, I recommend this if you're a sucker for love and romance, and you know, you just want something not so serious, no violence, no cursing, you know, like nothing like that, then I recommend a movie like this, Love Affair. So that was nice to watch the original version of that story. All right, I'm trying to make this a little bit faster. I'm running long. All right, Memories of Murder. Finally, I got to this one. It's been like 2.5 years. All right, Memories of Murder. You know me. I love a good serial killer movie. I love a good whodunit. A good, you know, cops putting the pieces to... Another foreign film, I might add. I watched 2 foreign films in July. Good for me. Good for me. I love a great serial killer film. The cops putting the clues together, trying to find, you know, the killer and everything. And what I loved about this was the ending. I don't want to say what the ending is because I don't want to spoil it for you. I mean, even though this movie came out 21 years ago, but just in case, you know, I don't want to be a dick like that. Like, I don't want to ruin the ending for you guys with this, but the ending and the way that Bong Joon-ho chose to end this movie, I mean, this is actually based on true events. I don't know if you guys realize this, but this is based on a real life case. So obviously it wasn't his choice, but the way it ended and the way it was filmed and the way it was captured, that was his choice. The ending was great. Absolutely great. Satisfying to a point. That's all I'm going to say. But I really enjoyed this one as well. I'm glad I finally got around to it. And the last Criterion, oh man, I cried. I was crying. The Elephant Man. I mean, you don't have a soul if you're not, you know, dropping one tear when you're watching The Elephant Man, because simply this is based on a true event as well. And I cannot even imagine being born so horrific looking that you got to wear something like this to go out in public. You rarely go out in public because of the way you look. And when you do, you have to fully dress up like this and have like a bag over your... It's like Sackhead Jason in Friday 2. You got to like, you know, a bag with a hole for one eye that you could see out of. And then you're wearing like this gigantic overcoat and whatever. But this is a true story. What is his name? John Merrick. John Merrick is the Elephant Man right here. And he was in a freak show. Obviously, what else is he going to do? He can't do anything else, really. So he's a part of a freak show. And Anthony Hopkins is in this movie as well. And he plays a doctor. And he's like walking by or something. And he sees the I think the advertisement or the actual show itself. And as soon as he sees what John Merrick looks like, he wants to help him. He wants to study him because that's kind of like what he does. He presents cases and things like that at the hospital where he works at. He wants to help him in some way, somehow. He doesn't know exactly how, but he wants to help him. So he takes him to the hospital. He has his own room over there, and he's like in care of the hospital, but people are still like harassing. Like there's this one worker in the hospital who I wanted to murder him. I wanted to murder him. This worker, this employee, this like, what, like an orderly, I don't know who he was, custodian, I don't know, but he would actually take money from people and sneak them into his room in the hospital every single night and humiliate him, embarrass him. Oh, every time it happened, it was so cringy. Like, I was crying because that's not okay. That's not okay. That is a human being. And the thing is that he was such a gentleman. He was such a gentleman. He knew how to speak properly. He knew how to treat other people. He knew how to act. He just looked different. He just looked extremely different. Something happened. Something went wrong. And he came out not right. But he was still a human being at the end of the day. And certain people just still treated him like a monster, like garbage. And that's where it got me. I mean, this was just so emotionally exhausting, this movie. This is a great black and white film, by the way. I really, really do recommend this. Maybe it'll get a 4K from Criterion in the future. I don't know. To be honest, I don't really think it needs it because I think the Blu-ray looks just fine. But if you're looking for something that is going to make you feel emotions, you can't really go wrong with The Elephant Man, because if I'm bawling, if I'm crying at this, then you will definitely cry at this as well. This is just a heartbreaking tale, heartbreaking story. Anthony Hopkins is great in the movie, so Elephant Man, whew, oh my gosh. All right, so that is it. That is everything that I watched in the month of July that I'd never seen before. So like I said earlier, comment down below and let me know your thoughts and opinions about these movies. Don't forget to like and subscribe before you leave, and I'll see you next time.